I assume this guy is lost. I assume that he's not all the way there in the head. Because if he was, first of all, he wouldn't have even thought about saying this team. Second of all, he wouldn't have taken his picture. Third of all, he wouldn't have put his caption on there and hit publish. The generation nowadays, they do not care. They will burn down an entire building over a candy bar before they will admit that they were wrong. This dude decides to put this picture out and says, fuck this team. Now, I, as you guys know, am a big college football fan. At least I was for about 15 years or so. I've been a very big college football fan. This is actually the first year where I was just like, you know what? Between all the players just not caring about the teams that they play for. I've had it. I literally have had it. And it's not because Virginia Tech is really sucking right now.
Hey, how about if you get a little taste of Landon Dickerson coming right down your throat?
And it has nothing to do with that, although it also does not help. But we now run into an issue with college football players, and it's not just college football players. We're running into the issue now with young athletes in general, where I understand you don't have to be 100% committed to the team because you're only going to be there for 4 years. High school is the same thing. You're only there, but you have to have some kind of pride, man. Because 10 or so years ago, you had players that were still playing bowl games when they were supposed to be a first-round pick. You had players in high school that were still getting paid under the table and were still playing. I just covered not too long ago over the summer where baby Gronk, his dad says, oh, he ain't playing football in middle school. We're just skipping middle school. So those 3 years, he ain't playing. But he's somehow going to get to college football. He's somehow going to get to the NFL one day. You have high school players now skipping their junior and senior years to sit out, and they're still getting paid by sponsors. Where does this end? This is a huge, huge, huge problem. Not just in the industry of sports and college sports and high school sports. No, we're seeing the way that we're raising the generation coming up. These entitled fucks. They don't want to play for their team anymore. The team takes an L or 2 L's for the season, which is very crucial. Look, high school and college is very crucial. You can't. Every game counts. Every single game counts. I don't know this player's name, nor do I really give a fuck. But it really grinds my gears when I see people not caring about the teams that they chose to play for. You decided to commit 4 years, or 3, I guess at least, to Florida. But now with this whole transfer portal bullshit that we've had in the past couple of years, and we've seen players literally, it's like being in the NFL at this point. You go straight from mini NFL to college football, which is like another level of NFL. And then you get to the NFL, which is pretty much you can get traded anytime. You can go this, you go this place, go that place. Fam, we've seen guys, look up Tate Martell. If any of you guys are at home and you guys aren't football fans, just Google Tate Martell. And you tell me, how many fucking colleges has this guy been to? And he was a top quarterback coming out of high school. In the country coming out of high school. He's been to Ohio State. He's been to, I believe, Miami. Then he went to like Tennessee or somewhere else, where TCU, somewhere else, whatever the fuck. But this is what we're teaching the next generation. This is what we're teaching the youth. We're teaching them, oh, you don't have to fucking, you know what? You can go to Florida for a year and, oh, you didn't make the team or you didn't start. Oh, you only got a little bit of playing time? Okay, yeah, you can go to Tennessee the very next year. Enroll there. Oh, yeah, you can't cut it there? Okay, yeah, come to Virginia Tech. We'll take you. And then you find out that they suck. And now they've got 2 years of eligibility at Virginia Tech. And they suck. And then they're not getting played at Virginia Tech. Then they go down to East Carolina. And now you have somebody that's been flushed throughout the system in the past 3 years on 3 different teams. Junior college, I can understand. Getting kicked out or something, I can understand. That's been around forever. With the transfer portal, all it's doing is pretty much catering to these kids. and not in a good way. I'm not saying, hey, you can't pay the look. In the early days of this podcast, James and I, we had conversations about paying players, paying college players. I'm not 100% against it. I get that, hey, there's a lot of players out there that need money. And it's a great way for them to get, sponsor all this stuff. Cool. But we know the entitlement that was already in college football. And now we have this whole NIL deal shit. And you add in the transfer portal. It all brews disaster. So now let's fast forward to this past weekend. This guy puts out this photo, says, fuck this team. I guess he didn't mean for it to go out publicly, but somebody outed him, and this shit went out and got out to the public. Now, while I feel like it shouldn't have been, like, whoever outed him shouldn't have outed him if he did not mean for this to go public. But now that it is public, fam, what are you talking about, fuck this team? People love wasting time. People love wasting time for some reason, and I don't get it. These are the same motherfuckers that you're running around on the field day in and day out doing suicides, doing drills, eating together. I'm sure they probably share the same dorms together. I almost called them barracks, thinking I'm still in the Army. But dorms, like I'm sure that he's still sharing dorms or well, it is the University of Florida, so I'm sure they probably got him like apartments and shit. Better than where the fuck I'm living in. Damn near, probably. And they're still getting paid to play. And yet, after all the hard work that you've put in, after everything that you've done with your teammates, and look, I don't know what his relationship is with his teammates. I don't know what that shit's like. But I'm assuming we're halfway through the season, damn near. You're still rocking a Florida uniform. So I assume that your relationship with your teammates is pretty good. But with this tweet, with this photo saying, fuck this team, I assume that Monday morning, yeah, that relationship has diminished. Now, I'm not one to talk when it comes to I guess the topic of commitment when it comes to things, but I will say this. When you commit yourself to a team, when you commit yourself, because the coaches, I understand a lot of times the coaches aren't committing themselves either. The coaches are just as much at fault as the players. I understand that in most cases. But to tweet out a photo after your whole team takes the L. And you're not saying fuck Florida. You're not saying fuck together. You're saying fuck this team. Which means fuck my teammates, fuck my coaches, fuck everybody involved with this football team. Fuck the fans. And that's a lot of fans. There is a looming problem going on in today's society. And this is one of those things where the youth, these kids, they don't appreciate what they have. Like I said, the entitlement, them being spoiled. But this clearly is coming from somebody that, I'm not going to say he's not talented. You have to be talented to even be looked at by the University of Florida. So I'm not going to sit here like an idiot and say, oh, he has no talent. He probably sucks. No, I assume he's a really great football player because he's wearing a Florida Gators jersey. However, I assume this guy is lost. I assume that he's not all the way there in the head. Because if he was, first of all, he wouldn't have even thought about saying, fuck this team. Second of all, he wouldn't have taken this picture. Third of all, he wouldn't have put in this fucking caption on there and hit publish or post. The generation nowadays, they don't give a shit about nothing. They do not care. They will burn down an entire fucking building or loot an entire fucking building over a fucking candy bar before they will admit that they were fucking wrong. Coach JB, Jason Brown, if you guys don't know, from Last Chance U, good dude. Half of the stuff he says, I don't really agree with, but the other half I wholeheartedly agree with. He's a straight up dude. One thing I can say about Coach Jason Brown is he keeps it 100 all the time.
Take your fucking ass home, man. Ain't nobody sucking your dick.
Man, Coach.
Shut the fuck up, man. Take your ass home.
It smell like straight motherfucking pussy out there. On everything. Hey, that's on everything.
And even he says, these rude ass kids, disrespectful ass little boys who say they grown men. Bad parenting compiled with soft coaching who begs them not to transfer instead of coaching them through life. Facts. You have coaches that aren't coaching you through life, apparently. You have guys that are surrounded by you, grown-ass men that you're surrounded by, and you're not taking their advice, or they're not giving you the right kind of advice. Because this wouldn't happen. But this guy is going to learn one of these days. He's either going to learn sooner or later that having this kind of mindset because your team took a loss, and instead of being around your fellow teammates, being around your coaches, being around the fans, being around everybody in that whole space of being a Florida Gator and everything about it, instead of doing that and keeping your head up and saying, you know what, let's get it, hey, tough loss. You never want it. Look, nobody at Florida wants to lose to LSU. But somebody in the game has to take an L, right? It ended up being Florida this year. But instead of being around your teammates, instead of holding your head up high, no. You want to double down on an L and say, fuck this team, as if they're not worth it. As if your teammates are not worth your time, worth your effort. He's going to learn sooner or later, man. He's going to learn sooner or later. But anyways, man, make sure you guys hit that like and that subscribe. It's your boy, Corn. It's Half-Ass Pod, and I am OUT.